Hey guys, what's going on? We got a little vlog for you, a quick little update. Before this even begins, I'll let you guys know it's a bit of a TMI type video. So if you're not about wanting to listen to me talk about um, bowel stuff, then scoot on along. We're not going to get super graphic, but I will have to mention some things. So yeah, so today's Monday, February 2nd, and yesterday, Sunday, I was just sitting here playing some games, and I drank about half my Ultra Peach because that's still sitting here, and then had two muffins for breakfast, and then all of a sudden my stomach twisted. I was like, all right, well that's not out of the ordinary, so I guess I'll go to the bathroom. It looks like it's going to be a shitty morning, haha, puns. And went into the bathroom, and then quickly realized I was not going to be leaving that bathroom for 40 minutes. The pain in my stomach, my gut, my intestines, my lower abdominal region was so intense. I actually had to call an ambulance. It was. I can only really describe the pain as like somebody poured already solid concrete full of glass shards into my intestines, one end to the other, and then just started like wringing the meat of the intestines on the glass. It was so ungodly painful. I was stripped down to basically just a tank top. I even took my socks off, and the fact that I took my socks off is alarming. So I was down to nothing in the bathroom, sweating bullets, burning up, freezing cold at the same time, sweating. Um, like my vision was blurry. My vision was like fuzzy, and like I was starting to like feel like numb. I was just like I was shaking like uncontrollably, groaning in pain. I couldn't. Nothing was coming out. It felt like I had like something stuck in me, and it was just so horrifically painful, worse than I've ever felt. Um, Again, it was I tried to call my mom to be like, maybe she can come drive me to the hospital, something like that. But she she was like, I'm at work. She had my brother Jake call Dylan, who was asleep, and Dylan's like at the door now. And then while Dylan was like getting ready to take me, I'm like, no, there's no way. Like, he's not gonna be able to get me there fast enough. If something goes wrong while I'm in the car, then it's not gonna be good. Like if it's even worse, he's gonna be he's gonna be full of panic, so he's not gonna be able to focus, and he doesn't know the full directions to the hospital. Like the last couple turns, he doesn't know it, and I can't really help him. So I just laid on the floor, just dialed 911, and got the paramedics there. Got me in the car, did all the fun stuff. Poked me a couple times in the left arm, couldn't get the vein, so then he actually had to end up putting a vein right here in my wrist, which was awful. That sucks. Don't get an IV in your wrist if you can help it, man. That shit sucked butt. It was painful as hell, and it was super uncomfortable. But they get me to the hospital and everything like that, and I'm on a bed in the hallway, and they're giving me their fluids, they're giving me their painkillers, their nausea medicine, they're asking me questions, and all in all, I'm there from like 11 to 2 p.m. or so. My mom does eventually show up so she can take me home. And not eventually, she showed up pretty, like within 25 minutes of me arriving there, she was there. So, because I had to have a ride home. And so so yeah, they didn't really have anything for me. They didn't really like give me any answers as to why it was so bad. They asked me questions. They asked me if I wanted to do a scan, and I'm like, no, not really, because I was worried about insurance. I was worried that like having the hospital visit on top of the ambulance ride would already be like in my head. It's like the insurance goes, no, that's too many things at once. We're not gonna cover you, So it's like, what, to add a scan on top of that? Are you crazy? They're definitely not gonna cover me. So I didn't do a scan, but I went home and slept for a couple hours, and then basically was spending the whole day um, just my stomach just going like 20 minutes later, and just every like 20, 30 minutes my stomach would just start cramping up like crazy. And then eventually got to the point where like, well, it feels like I have to go to the bathroom, so I try to go to the bathroom. And then here's where we get to the warning. So anybody who's like, don't, you can leave. um, I started shitting out some blood, and it was like, oh, that's great. But it was also like I took laxative. I took Miralax, so it was like coming out at that like globulous consistency, and yeah, so I started like shitting out some blood. I'm like, well, that's not good. Pretty much from then until I was like really falling asleep at about 3:40 a.m. From like 5:30 to 3:40 a.m. was me just off and on the toilet, spitting out a little bit of ass blood, cramping up like crazy, sipping on some water. I ate a handful of like oyster crackers, and I had half a banana. But it felt like there was something like blocked in me. It felt like I was scared to eat because I'm like, well, if I have a blockage and I'm trying to eat something, then it's gonna like rupture or something like that. Like I don't want to what Elvis died like that or something, right? So I was terrified to eat, and eventually I just kind of stayed in bed for the whole day. And every time I went try to go to the bathroom, nothing would come out. But oh, I just pulled some like lip skin. Nothing would come out except for like a little bit of blood. And but it was like red blood. It was bright red, not dark. If it was dark red blood, that would be super alarming because that's like internal bleeding kind of thing. But bright red blood indicates like lower abdominal, like colon type thing, like fissures, colitis, hemorrhoid, whatever. I've had hemorrhoids before in the past. I've had hemorrhoids a bunch of times, and it was like, well, it's not. The hemorrhoid blood is like, oh, you got like a wipe and there's some on the toilet paper. This was like the only thing that's exiting my butthole and hitting the water is blood. So, and like maybe like a little like chunks of something that's that had been digested, like whatever. Um, and yeah, so I was gonna go last night again, but I was just like, I don't. I was panicked. I was too scared to go and like waste my time, and then, but also too scared to be like, what if I just die in my sleep from like an intestinal rupture? But I slept it off. I was whatever. Got up this morning at like 7:30 this morning. I got up and I was like, all right, I'm going in today, because it still didn't stop. So I went in. I got back like an hour ago. Roughly, it's 1 o'clock right now, and basically, they gave me they did blood samples yesterday. Sorry, they did blood samples yesterday, and everything was normal except my white blood cell count was up by like 1 point, which is like within the range of like, yeah, that's fine. Um, they had nothing else showed up on blood tests or anything like that. Today they did blood tests, and my white blood cell count was down. It was back to normal. Everything was normal. Nothing alarming there. We did a CT scan, which the contrast made my face numb. I did not like that. Um, my dad had an allergic reaction to the contrast a couple of times, and was worried that I would have one, but so far so good. Um, and so they saw with the scan that there was basically nothing in my intestines, so there was no blockage. So the feeling I'm feeling is really just like my intestines like cramping and flexing and seizing and stuff like that from just whatever's going on from like the inflammation and stuff. And basically they gave me a diagnosis right now of just like the reason for all this is mild colitis, and then as far as the bleeding goes, it could just be from like that with the inflammation and stuff like that. So just kind of they put in the referral for the GI doctor because they can't really do a whole lot else. I did ask, well, they asked me if I wanted to, and I said yes for a rectal examination. So she went like that, and right before I left, and there was small hemorrhoid on the outside, no hemorrhoids on the inside. So I'm like, well, then where the fuck is the blood coming? Because my assumption was hemorrhoids inside from all the stress and all the everything going on, bled a little bit as the Miralax was passing through, collected the blood at the sphincter, and then by the time I went to go try to go to the bathroom, it just collected the blood out. That's what I assumed it was, but no hemorrhoids there, so I don't know. Regardless, I'm home and I'm feeling okay. Stomach's not cramping as much. I am getting some cramps, but I did just eat some sourdough toast with a little bit of butter. I just had some applesauce, and I'm drinking some ginger ginseng tea. So it's actually getting cold. That's all right. But yeah, that's about where I am right now. And I had to miss work yesterday, which sucked. I really did not. Not that I wanted to go to work. I didn't want to fucking call out of work. because I had to recently with the snowstorm. I had to switch days, which switching days is not the same as calling out, but still, I feel bad regardless. I just got to make sure I'm nibbling on some easy stuff throughout the day. I'm starving. I've been starving for a full 24 hours, and I had some Tylenol earlier because they gave me Ketorolac, Ketorolac, for the inflammation and the pain and stuff like that, and that's an NSAID, whatever. So like I can't have anything else. I can't have like acetaminophen and stuff. So I wasn't sure what else I could take after having that to if when the pain returned. So, but by now it's out of my system. I could take some Tylenol, and I took some, and that seems to be helping. I seem to be okay. So doing good there. I'll probably take some more later on if I start cramping again, because I don't know how long it's gonna last, and then basically just waiting to hear from the GI doctor, and that's about that. So good fun times. Hopefully I can get an actual answer as to what is going on, whether it's diverticulitis, whether it's IBS, whether it's GERD, whether it's IBD, whether it's whatever. Um, yeah. So that's that. So pretty much, yeah. Thanks for watching, and I'll keep you guys updated.